mini lecture will cover Chapter 3 of your text, which looks at organizational environments and cultures. Here are the course learning outcomes for this chapter. You may pause here to read them. As I noted, in this chapter, we're going to be looking at changing environments and how changing environments affect organizations. So the external environment is all events that occur outside of a company or an organization that can influence or affect it. And some of the characteristics we need to consider are the rate of environmental change. So whether it's a relatively stable environment or if it's dynamic, meaning it's changing a lot. We also have to look at the complexity of the environment, so how many different factors impact an organization, and what is the intensity of those factors. And then lastly is resource scarcity, which looks at the abundance of or shortage of organizational resources. Next, we're going to look at the different components of the general and the specific environment. So the external environment is made up of the general and the specific environment. So the general environment are those factors that impact all organizations, no matter what industry they're in. And these are things like sociocultural trends, which are things like age, income levels, education levels of individuals, how much money people make, etc. We also have technology. So as technology changes, how does this impact organizations? What are the political and legal trends that are impacting organizations? And a lot of times this has a lot to do with the political parties that are either in control within our state or our country or the world. And then what's happening in the economy. So some examples in sociocultural right now, we know that our population is aging, our baby boomers are getting older, and this is impacting the workforce and the number of people who are in the workforce. Technology is rapidly changing, technology is getting, speeds are getting faster, we have more data, and we see a lot more use of data. Political and legal trends. In a previous presidential administration, there was a really big pull to have more products made in the United States, and that in fact impacts the business environment. Right now in the economy, we have high inflation. High inflation raises the prices of things relative to the increase in wage, and so that's making prices go up, and it's changing consumers' buying habits. Next, we look at the specific environment. The specific environment are those factors that are occurring in the external environment that are, as it says, specific to an organization or to an industry. And so these are things like, who is the competition? Who are your customers that you're servicing? Who are your suppliers? Do you have a lot of suppliers? Are there a lot of options for suppliers? Do you have specific industry regulations? For example, the FTC regulates advertising, and so those regulations need to be adhered to by people in marketing. And then advocacy groups. So for example, PETA is for the people of ethical treatments of animals. And so if you're a cosmetic company that tests your products on animals, you may have some backlash from advocacy groups such as PETA, and you need to be aware of those and be addressing those issues or concerns. And these are just examples and not my own views, just some examples to help you understand the general and specific environment. All right, so in order to understand our environment, we have to conduct environmental scanning. And so this is where we're kind of doing research and we're listening and we're paying attention to identify important events or issues that might affect an organization. And so we need to look at them and we need to act on the threats that could be coming or whether there's opportunities. I have an article here, but I recently read an article, it was like a year ago, stating that there is a new drug that is similar to Botox, and Botox was originally used for eye issues, but is often used for cosmetic purposes now. And now there is a new drug that has just been approved by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, so another industry specific regulator that is like Botox, but it actually lasts longer. And so that would be a threat to Botox. And now, because Botox knows that there's another drug out there, they need to go and act on that potential threat. Okay, so that not only do we need to look at the organizational or the external items that are impacting an organization, but we also need to take a look at our internal environment and understand how that affects management, employees, and our culture. And so a big part of that is our organizational culture, which is the values, beliefs, and attitudes that are shared by an organizational members. And I highly recommend you watch the organizational culture video posted on Canvas because it provides a really good overview of this. So we, company founders create their organizations and they have an image and they set it up with the idea that of certain beliefs, attitudes, and values. And so organizational stories are used to make sense of the organization and the events and the changes. And organizational people heroes are people that are celebrated for their qualities and achievements within an organization. And ceremonies allow us to have symbolic acts to commemorate those notable achievements or changes. And all of these things play into the organizational culture. Right? And there's different levels of organizational culture. There's the surface level, the things that can be seen. There's heard, or those expressed values and beliefs, how decisions are made, how they're explained. And then those believed or those unconscious assumptions that are shared assumptions and beliefs that we maybe don't discuss, but they're kind of there. And all of these play into the culture. So ways that we can change assumptions and beliefs if the culture is not working for us is to add behaviors, to perform new behaviors, to try to replace behaviors that maybe aren't working, and to change our actual physical artifacts that we see, such as office designs, dress codes, etc. So that's a quick overview of Chapter 3. If you have any questions, please contact me. Thanks.